Hello guys, this is the Captain Chronicle for a new video, and yes, I speak English because today it's also a great day. We have the opportunity to speak with a guy who going bigger and bigger in the game. Lee Baxter from Lee Baxter Promotions is with us. Hello Lee.
How you doing, man?
Doing good. I'm really happy to speak finally with you because you have to know, Lee, since few weeks, my audience, the pirates, I call my audience the pirate of boxing, are really connect with Patrice Volny. We did two videos with him and people are really enjoyed. And today we have the opportunity to speak with the manager and promoter of Patrice. So it's really great to have this side of the story. So Lee, just to start with Patrice, tell me more how the connection begin with you and Patrice.
Well, his trainer, Eric Boulanger, and we've been friends for several years. We've worked with other fighters before. Patrice was fighting on Yvonne Michelle's cards and unsigned, and he wanted more consistency and he wanted more frequency of fights and bigger fights and meaningful fights. And Eric came to me and asked me what I thought of him. So I believe he was fighting. I'm not sure what the fighter's name was. He was undefeated as well.
Yeah.
It was probably like maybe his fourth or fifth fight. And I said, if he gets through that fight, then we'll put him on one of my shows. And if he performs in both fights looking good, then yeah, I'll offer him a long-term contract. And after I saw him fight, I knew this kid was special. He could go really far. He's very, very charismatic, animated, big puncher, has a good chin, and speaks both English and French fluently. So he had a lot of the tools from the marketing angle, and in terms of fighting style and skill, I think he has everything.
Yeah, completely agree. And so, yes, for the moment, everything is on hold, and it must be difficult for business like yours. But what's the plan for Patrice? Because he's growing up in the ranking. He's not that far from a big fight. He told us about Murata. So, how do you see the future for him?
If you ask any fighter, I'm sure they're always going to say, as they should, that they're ready for world title fights. I believe that he has the skills to be a world champion, but I personally don't feel that we have to rush with him. I think that he did a really good job of positioning him in the rankings and moving him up the rankings. Almost too good of a job because he was there within his first 13, 14 fights. So what I'd like to see with him is get him back into the ring, get meaningful fights, but frequent. Just get a little bit more experience and in different things, fighting internationally, the whole travel aspect, fighting certain styles of opponents, and just seeing maybe join a few more camps through friends that we have of high level. I know he was out in Australia, and he grasped a lot at how different things were done. I think in this game, when you're a learning on the job type of guy like him, all that knowledge is very, very valuable when it comes to being on the world stage, to not only get there, but to stay there. And that's the key with him. I don't want him to be a one fight wonder where he becomes a world champion. The next fight, he's lost the belt. I want him to stay there. I think he can stay there. He is in the right city. He has the right fan base. There's no reason why he can't remain a world champion for quite some time. It's just, I think that we have to very carefully calculate when the right fight is there to take.
Having the good timing for him. Lee, speaking more about you, because in my opinion, you're one of the name of the future of boxing in Canada and maybe more. Your business growing up, your name also growing up in the business, but you're still young. You're still a young man, So why jumping in the business aspect when at your age or my age we still dream about the ring? Tell me more.
Um, it's not like I was in love with boxing. I'm in love with the challenge. The challenge was that there was no boxing in the city that I live in Toronto. So I wanted to do everything I could to try and turn that around. Fortunately, there were some milestones in this journey that expedited that, and I think now it's in a position where I've learned a lot and I've gained a lot of experience where I think I can sit back and just like Patrice, I can move at the pace I want to move because I'm half the age of most of these guys that are doing this stuff. Like I could fumble, fall, get up, and still be ahead 10 years
Yeah,
from
yeah,
now.
yeah,
So I think I've established enough in the last 5 years to say that I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here and I'm here to stay. So now it just comes time with building the right stable, building the right fight series, and making good, profitable business that can grow into something that's globally known.
yeah, yeah. And you're right to say that since yes, the 5 last year for you are game changer, if I can say, because you learn a lot, you travel a lot, and I think it's great for my audience to tell more that you were involved in some big fight in the past, and tell me more about that because you are the guy who bring a big fight back in Toronto, the big city, with this one. Tell me more about this one. Adonis Stevenson against Badou Jack, and it, in my opinion, it's a game changer for you. The business look at you differently because of that. Do you have what's your memory about that day?
Um, Went by real fast. It seems like there wasn't enough time to do anything that day, but everything unfolded, and um, I don't think what happened in the ring could have happened any better. Like it just was. It was a hell of a fight.
Hell of a fight.
Uh, it was in, and I'm not trying to be biased, but I don't know how that would have been scored or judged in other parts of the world, whether it's in the States, whether it's in Quebec. And I think that it was about as even as it could, bringing two individuals that from two different parts of the world meet in a city that was thriving for something big like this. Mayweather's brand attached to it,
Yeah.
and the only thing I wish we could have had was more time because unfortunately we had to do it in 24 days, and that's a big task. It's a big task to do that.
Yeah, you have to connect with Yvon Michel for this fight. Yes, but you did it in 24 days to a big fight like this, worldwide, and yes, the quality was there, and uh, uh, it was a surprise to see how competitive was the fight for you on your side.
Yeah, in all honesty, I didn't really follow Badou Jack's career that much. And then when the fight got announced, I just did a little bit of homework on him. I thought Stevenson was going to knock him out. I was very impressed with Jack's conditioning, with his chin, with everything about the fight. It made me start to wonder if maybe Stevenson was getting old. But then, unfortunately, whatever happened in the future after that happened. So it's hard to really argue much. And believe it or not, I flew down to Atlanta because I have a great relationship with the Mayweather team now and watched Pascal and Jack. And
what a fight.
Again, and I went into the law.
Yeah.
And I said to them, listen, guys, if there is an option or if there's any type of possibility that this has to happen again, we have to do this in Toronto.
Oh, yes.
And we have to do the right time because I believe that I just believe that it would do big numbers again. And I think that it's another fight that Toronto would love to have.
Yes. And the fight fans community, we asked for the rematch. It was so good. And yes, so tell me more because you just told us that the relationship with the Mayweather promotion is good. uh, tell me more. What is it like to deal with the Mayweather promotion?
Um, I learned a lot. I learned a lot during that process. How they work. They have a small team, but they're extremely effective. Um, very very talented team around. Uh, work like no other, and it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot that you couldn't learn in school. Couldn't learn from asking questions. You need to be hands on. You need to let them open their doors to watch them work.
Yeah.
And I've created an amazing relationship with Leonard Ellerby. I attend many fights with him, visit him in Las Vegas. We talk about other things that we're potentially going to do. But no, they are definitely an industry leader when it comes to promotions, and I think that they're very innovative. I think what they're doing with Gervonta Davis is exceptional, and I look up to them for more advice sometimes, and potentially other shows that we could work on together.
Yeah.
So I believe that there will be stuff that we will do together. It's just timing, and the right fights, the right fighters.
Timing, yes, and on your side, let your fighters becoming bigger in the business, and maybe we have a fight between Lee Baxter Promotion fighters and Mayweather fighters in the future. We cross the finger. So
I keep looking to sign guys. I'm like, I'm gonna sign someone at 130 that might be close to ready for a title fight to put him up against a Gervonta. And then Gervonta goes up to 135. I think I'll get a 35, and then he'll go up to
140. Yes, yes.
So like this, start working back.
Gervonta is hard to follow. It's really hard to follow. With the weight, it's really hard to follow. But for the moment, the fight who is scheduled is against Leo Santa Cruz. And another question that I have about Mayweather, because you have a view on him that is different from us. But from my perspective, Mayweather as a promoter is fair. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's fair, and maybe it's the reason why his fighter has so many decisions against us, so many draw, so many weird decision on the scorecard. Do you think Mayweather is the more gentle in the game?
More gentle in the gym?
Not in the gym, but in the business. Because sometimes, Badou against De Gale, it's a draw. Well, Adonis and Badou, it's again, it's.
I think it's Mayweather per se. I think Badou Jack, his style is very hard to judge.
Yeah.
I think he starts and stops and starts and stops, and
Yes,
he can jump around.
That's right. Yeah.
I think he is never really convincingly winning rounds where he can just blow out scorecards. I think that he's too tough for his own good. Like, he's very, very tough. It's crazy how mentally tough and how strong he is. You saw that when he fought Marcus Brown. You saw that when he fought Pascal. These fights are life-changing fights, and he's gone through them, and he's still very healthy. In terms of Mayweather being a good promoter, I think Mayweather is a great promoter. I believe that the issue is Mayweather is probably one of the hardest workers that's ever faced the sport when he was fighting. And because of that, he knew the results he got.
Yeah.
And I think he would expect any other fighter to do the same. And I think it's a tough task. It's a tough task. So a lot of these fighters the tools, and it's up to them to take these tools and use them wisely. Unfortunately, when you give young kids a lot of money that don't come from money, and their circle of friends are very easily influencing them, it's difficult. I understand both sides.
Yeah.
from my age to kind of relate to a lot of the fighters. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, because don't you think that entourage of the fighters are maybe the main issue now in the boxing business?
See, there's pros and cons, right? You have Javante, who definitely is not surrounded by some of the most,
Yeah.
how should you say, positively influencing people. But at the same time, he is around musicians that are very famous. Those musicians are allowing him into their fame, and he's hitting other marketing angles. I think that he can like Adrian Broner is a very good example for what he's done with his surrounding entourage. He's put a lot of his friends in positions to become world champions that would probably be dead or in jail. And I think I have a fighter, Dusty Hernandez, who is out of Washington D.C. and he's from that area, the Maryland area, and he's grown up with all these guys. It's a very tough situation to understand how they live until you actually enter into it. Like it's difficult. It's very difficult for these people to be able to even stay alive, let alone become successful. So I think when that happens to get the opportunity to become a multimillionaire and be able to travel the world, it's very difficult to turn around to your 10, 15, 20 friends that you grew up with and say, yeah, you don't want to come along for the ride. So there's always going to be bad apples. But
and we are.
I think
we have an expression in France. If I can translate, it's the expression is even if you want to leave the hood stick with you.
Yes, yeah, we have the same expression.
Oh, okay.
Can't leave the hood. You can leave the hood, but the hood can't leave you.
Oh.
I agree. But listen, everything that you do as a person, you learn somewhere. We're all born the same. You learn and you're taught by something. So you can also learn and be taught what's right and wrong as you grow up.
Yeah.
And people can change. I think that it's difficult. These kids are in the gym punching each other in the face. That's their living. And they come from a bad neighborhood. They come from a bad upbringing. And then you give them bags of cash.
It's a nuclear reaction.
I don't think they're going to say, hey, let's go to Harvard.
Yes. They are not like Kobe or Mayweather. But speaking about you, Lee, about the 5 last year, you learned so much, all the game changer you had in your life as a promoter. Another moment that, in my eyes, is a game changer for you and prove the good work you did with one of your fighters, Vargas, Sammy Vargas. Because I knew Sammy Vargas from his defeat from Errol Spence. And watching him fighting this guy because of you, and you have to tell me more about that weekend. Can Vargas, you are behind the fight, Can and Vargas. Vargas is your guy, and he put what a crazy fight on Amir Khan in England. Seriously, it must has been for you an amazing moment watching the fight.
It was nerve-wracking. Amir Khan came to Toronto, I think, 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Wanted to get away. Came with some friends. Someone contacted me and said, hey, you're very popular in the nightclub industry and everything. Can you make sure that Khan gets in and is taken care of and has a good time this weekend? I said, no problem. So I hung out with them for the weekend, got to know him. He was a really good guy. And Sam actually came out one night. I squared off. And I said, one day you guys will fight. I promise you that. And all of a sudden, 4 years later, it came about. And I knew style-wise, this was the fight. Sam looked good. If he caught him, him on his toes, then it would be a very entertaining fight. Now, when I was sitting there ringside, and keep in mind, about maybe 6 months before,
Yeah.
Joe Saunders and Kell Brook came to do camp in Toronto, and I hosted them. I became really close friends
In your gym.
and all of a sudden, Kell Brook and Amir Khan was the massive fight that was supposed to take place next. And about 6 seats down, Eddie Hearn and Kell Brook were sitting there.
Yeah.
And then between us was Amir Khan's family. And a corner, like sitting right behind the corner of Khan's corner. So Vargas goes down. I'm like, oh man, the speed's getting to him. But I know he's tough, so I know he wasn't going to stay down. So he gets up, and right in that corner is where. So Khan comes falling into the corner. I jump up screaming. His family's screaming. Eddie Hearn and Kell Brook are like, no, they're screaming. Everyone is screaming. And then there goes the bell. And unfortunately, he was able to recover, and he ran all night. And no, I'm not taking anything away from Khan. His speed and his foot speed is exceptional, and that's why Sam couldn't catch him. Sam was not trying to win rounds. He was trying to knock him out.
Yeah.
So he knew that he was not going to get the decision over in England. It would have to be a complete blowout or a knockout. And he focused on the knockouts.
Yeah. And it was amazing to see Sam. Like I told you, the only time I saw him against Spence, and watching the fight, it's a completely different fighter, in my opinion. Did you change something? Or the mindset was changed? Did you? What happened to completely change the guy?
I think with boxers, the whole thing is experience and confidence. A lot of them get it in the amateurs. But there's some things you just can't learn, and that's heart. And he was born with an exceptionally hard-headed, big heart that you cannot break him. You can't. You could beat him, but you can't break him.
Okay.
And once I knew that he had that quality, it was resources at that point. You got to remember, this kid only had 9 amateur fights his whole boxing in Toronto, where there wasn't very many high-level teachers.
Yeah.
He learned from Chris Johnson and worked with some other coaches. So the main thing with him was to get him moving around, to get him into training camps, to get him with other trainers, to get him all over the world, to be attending big fights. So his mind understands it's supposed to be like. His mind understands what it's like to fight in a bingo hall and what it's like to fight at the Barclays Center. There's levels to this sport, and as a 31-year-old fighter who has almost 40 fights, I believe if he sees and he's learned so much that allowed him to gain so much. And the fighter that fought Earl Spence is not the same fighter that fought Khan, and the fighter that fought Khan is not the same fighter that fought Collazo, and the fighter that fought Collazo is not the same fighter that's about the fight. I believe that he is not concerned anymore. He is not worried because he has pretty much seen everything the sports had to offer.
Yeah, yes, you're right. But you, as a promoter, obviously, you were the B side. Khan and Edion were the A side for this fight, and be so close to an amazing upset. How did you react inside? It was crazy for you?
Different with Sam because Sam and I are best friends, and he's the one I started this with. He was what I started working with, so it was a level that I don't. The only way it could ever be attained again is if the upset actually follows through and the fight is over. But it's a high, it's a rush. It's what you do this for.
Yeah,
it's against someone else, another promoter, and you're trying to checkmate it. And you're willing to put it all on the line to try and get that by going in as the B-side. Everyone counting you out. And when you've calculated it so perfectly that it comes off, it's I don't know what else can give you that type of rush.
Yeah. Yes, yes. And after the fight, a good moment, because Khan and Joe Gossen went to your locker room to speak with you guys. It was a good chat. We have the video. The video is available on YouTube. The Joe Gossen is really a class act trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And listen, he's been around. He's seen so much in the sport, and he's not a guy that BS's anyone. I think that everything he said, I do believe that he was saying it with sincerity, and I think that he was 100% honest, and he was right because he said, "Look, you might have lost the fight, but you didn't lose." He's like, "Sorry, you might have lost on the score,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, your brand is higher now."
Yeah.
He's like, "Look what you just did! Like you shocked the world. Everyone's gonna be calling you," and they were, and the right calls had to come in to take the right fights. And the next fight we thought that was the right call was the Collazo fight, and
Exactly.
that fight again a nail biter. Like one judge had him winning in New York, another judge. The other two judges had it by 1 round. I think that round 5, 6, and 7, I believe he was winning the first rounds, and he thought that he was winning a little bit further in. He kind of let off the gas a little bit and gave up some close rounds, and that's where he lost the fight. And he learned from that again. He was fighting an extremely talented ex-world champion in his hometown on ESPN. And top.
Collazo, it's a master for the student of the game that I am. I study so much Collazo as a southpaw. Is a master, and Collazo Vargas. People forgot, but it was a fight of the year contender. It was crazy good again, crazy good, and. But tell me more about the history behind this fight, because it's on March on the Irish
Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. So thank you for the St. Patrick's Day. It was not late in the evening. It was almost at the end of the afternoon, and also you had to deal in terms of business with Top Rank. Is it different to deal with Top Rank than you deal with Matchroom or Mayweather? Is it different? Top Rank sounds different for us.
I'd say that Matchroom and Top Rank are pretty close in and organization. They definitely taught a lot without them even knowing. Seeing how everything was done from the moment of us arriving to departure and everything in between, just learning little things, how to execute little things in my shows to be better. But yeah, I don't think I could criticize anything they do.
No.
They do it right.
Yeah. They do right. It's you also learn a lot watching them.
Yeah, and I think now I set such a high standard for other high-level promoters because I've learned so much on them.
Yeah.
And I say, listen, everything they're doing, it's not like, not everything, but majority of the things they do are not money related. They're just organization. So there's no excuse for other companies to turn around and say, hey, we don't do that, or we can't do that. We haven't thought of doing that. Well, it doesn't cost any more money to do the things that they're doing. So I think that they should really, really, other promoters should learn from people like that. And I know I have.
Is it helping you to pass through the hard time we have with the COVID for your business?
Yeah, it's been difficult. I personally have learned a lot about myself, how to just slow down and focus on things that that really matter. I think being in a city like Toronto, everyone's so going a million miles a minute, and they don't realize that their life is just flying by, and they're chasing their tail. And I think having a lot less to have to do every day has allowed me to just kind of learn about the simple things in life, the things that really matter, and like family and a lot of just nature, just getting out and just having like being able to clear your mind. And I think it's brought me in a headspace where I know once we come through this, I will be coming very strong towards a lot of other. I've been working on lately to try and see how we can get these guys back in the ring. I don't think it's necessarily a money thing. I think it's more safety and just getting everyone to realize that their career is just back on the road. But I know that a lot of people are looking at the industry leaders to see what they're doing, like Top Rank, or even if you cross the line and go to the MMA world, how UFC has done. I think that with watching how they do it, now granted they have strong television deals, but I think it's opening doors now with such a lack of content on a lot of network television that we could probably strike a deal and move at the pace that the world lets us. Like, if we have to do shows with no fans, then that's what needs to happen. And when the fans can safely attend, then that'll happen next.
Yes, it's almost fair because everybody's on the same rhythm. So yeah, I understand. Lee, you proved that you're really open-minded with Sammy, with Patrice. You can speak English, you can speak French, you can be from Montreal, you can be from somewhere else. You're open-minded to see the talent and to sign a guy you trust. Tell me, what is the good approach to be signed by Lee Baxter?
I usually look at things that are a little unorthodox. One of my first things I'll do, even if I don't even know if they can fight yet, I want to know if they're. I want to know their personality.
Yeah.
And I
need a connection.
Like I want to drop them in a room and see how the room responds to them. I want to know if they can be bigger than most people, personality-wise. Do they stand out? Because ultimately, a lot of people can fight, but you got to want people to want to watch them fight. And there are those rare exceptions, like someone like Arthur Beterbiev, where his fists do the talking. He doesn't need a personality. He's a very
doesn't need to talk.
Scary. No, he reminds me sometimes almost like a comic character or an action figure or something, because he's just scary, and if he's in your presence, he can be scary too, because you know what he's capable of doing. So his presence has a personality.
Even Lee, even his partner at the gym are afraid to do sparring with him.
I believe it.
Yes, Christian Billy, who trained with him, say in an interview, I never spar with him. He's crazy scary, this guy. Yeah.
He's a very, very, very talented guy. I couldn't believe how he just walked through God. It just was mind blowing. Very talented fighter. I'd say he's one of the most talented fighters in the industry right now.
Yeah.
But no, going back to how I sign fighters, I would look at their personality. I'll look at their aesthetics. Are they good-looking people? Can they sell? And then age. I look at amateur background, and if they're currently pros, what plays a big role, because depending on where I'm going to promote them, is there a market to hit their ethnicity? And then ultimately skills. They gotta be able to fight.
Exactly.
But the same time, you have to understand that what I did with Vargas uh, was a good job, and we're still working. But if I was to look at him when he was coming out of the amateurs, 9, maybe 10 out of 10 promoters would count him out and would say, no, we shouldn't waste our time on a fighter like this. But that's the difference. One is lacking, and you know what they need, then you just have to introduce them to the person that can give them what they need. All you're doing as a promoter is showing people what you've created and connecting the fighter with the right resources that he can't create on his own.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Sometimes it's more a fighter is not that good because they don't have the good trainer, or maybe something in the staff is missing. And when you click everything, that change everything. Yes, you're right. So if a guy from Montreal like Patrice or from France really want to show you his skills, you're still open-minded to watch.
Anyone.
Anyone. That's good to know.
From Poland, anywhere. The good thing is, because I live in Toronto, in the most multicultural city of the world, I'd say, I want different culture. I want different fighters from different places, because organically, to create a world champion that is Canadian born, that is living in, is decades away. It takes a long time to do that with proper trainers and teachers, and to be able to build them up. Whereas if you were to transplant a fighter from a different part of the world, within a year or two, Toronto, their own. They do that with so many athletes all around the world. And once they start representing Toronto, the whole city will get behind them. So it's not something that I'm closed-minded and won't look all over the world to try and find talent.
Yeah. It's more creating a connection between the city and maybe somebody from somewhere else. Exactly. Yes, Lee. So, Lee, it was a pleasure to speak with you. We wish you the best for the future of your business, and thank you for all the good job you already did for boxing in Toronto and in Canada. Lee, it was a pleasure, and for us, the Pirates, we see you soon. Bye bye and boom.